Hey, everyone. Well, it's another MLA video, but before I talk a little bit about MLA and show you something super useful, what I would like to do is just say a few things about this essay that are popping up in the questions that were being asked and the things that we're seeing in your rough draft posts. And the main thing that I want to say, and this is a simple thing, but it's just something that's come up, is make sure that you, early in your essay, early in it, that you introduce the text that is the primary text you're dealing with in this paper. And when I say introduce, I mean very specifically state the author or creator, the title of it, and when it was made. So you may say something as simple as in early 2006, John Smith published his important article, The Study of Duck Science, Fact, and Fiction in the Atlantic Monthly. You may say something like that. You may say, I was 13 years old the first time that I heard the Beatles, and the album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band pretty much took my little teen head right off of my body. You might say, in her TED Talk titled Sensitivity and What It Means to Me, Marjorie Levinson notes that, but at some point, early in the essay, you need to identify this text by creator and title and date. Now you say, well, I'm dealing with a website, Sigmund, and there's no date. Cool. You still need to identify it. You need to name it so that your reader knows what you're talking about. So be sure to identify your text. Another thing, and a lot of you are kind of fuzzy on this right now, but let's be clear. The center of this essay is your personal story about how and why you came to care about this particular issue personally. How your story, like I was 13 when I first faced discrimination, or I started skating when I was in junior high, or I didn't even think about the role of the media until the day I heard the song American Idiot by Green Day. Like it's got to be about you. Now, your argument is essentially embedded in this narrative. It's not like the narrative is over here and the argument is over here and the text is over here. They're all kind of working together for the same goal. They're all working on this kind of central point of this issue matters to me, and here's why it should matter to you. So don't get hung up on breaking things into like separate sections. I mean, you can think of it that way if it works for you, but remember that the personal narrative, its connection to this issue, and the connection of that issue to the text, and the way that text connects back to you and how you feel about this issue, that's the paper. It's kind of like a circle. So like I said, this is real. This is real. So there's lots of different ways to do this, but don't get into this idea that the argument and the narrative and the text are isolated chunks. They all have to work together for your point, which is that this issue matters to me and it should matter to you, and here's why. Okay? That's what you should be thinking of. You may not ever even say that directly. I don't know. Okay. So keep working. Keep also, there's two people in the world, Miss Wyke and me, your good friend Fred. Please ask us questions. We live but to answer them. Okay, let's share the screen and let's talk a little bit about the mysterious and dangerous Parenthetical citation. Dun, dun, da, 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 da. Okay, here you go. So on the wonderful world of the Purdue Owl, and I'll show you this in a second where you can get to this. There's a sample paper, an MLA sample paper, and it has, as you can see, these blue boxes. Is that blue? And these green boxes, and they tell you everything, like formatting, format. So the blue tell you like the formatting stuff. The green is style guide. I mean, they tell you all of these things. They go through the entire paper and tell all kinds of important things. But let's talk about a citation and how it looks. So come down here and you will see this sentence. Right here. One of these experiments was the development of canals and steamboats, which allowed farmers to, quote, sell what has previously been unsaleable, sick, that means it's a spelling error, and resulted in a, quote, substantial increase in a farmer's ability to earn income, end quote. Then in parentheses, the author's last name and the page number. Now, you're seeing a couple things here. In fact, a lot of things. First of all, notice that the quote is embedded. What that means is it fits into the grammar of the sentence. If you leave the quote out, the sentence doesn't make any sense. It reads, one of these improvements was the development of canals and steamboats, which allowed farmers to and resulted in a. Okay, the quoted material is embedded in the grammar and syntax of the sentence. This is the ideal way to incorporate short to medium length direct quotes. You will also notice that the author here has to kind of manipulate the quote. This little thing right here, you may never have to use this, but that means that this word unsaleable here is not correct. So he puts the little sig, which means it follows. I'm following the quote. This is not me misspelling it. This is the way it's quoted. But what's really nice to you is notice that they break the quote into two pieces. He adds this and resulted in a to make this quote work. It's probably a longer quote and he pulled two chunks out of it. But also there's this, he adds this bracketed part here. See this little bracketed part, a farmers is in brackets. The author added that in, the author of the paper, Miss or Mr. Angeli, or I don't remember who it was. Who is it? EL. So we'll say Miss Angeli, because I like that, added that farmers in to clarify the quote. And also to make, it probably said something different that doesn't make sense in the grammar of this sentence. So they took that word out and put it in farmers to make it clear. Okay. So you have some freedom. Now that's sophisticated. But what we don't want to do, and we want to kind of encourage you, is not to just be like the author says, quote dump. Like, work it into the sentence. Figure out why are you using those exact words. If you're using the exact words, then they should be words that you really need. And so you want to just use what you really need. Like I said, this quote here that begins with to sell, what is probably a longer quote, right? But the author here, she didn't want to take all of the quote, so she pulled out the two pieces that she needed. And it's a really good strategy. Now, let's take a look, if you will, with me here. Let me move my little face out of the way for myself here and see if I can. Oh, look who knows how to press the zoom button. This guy. It's, you know what? Don't judge me. It's a little late. Anyway, there's your parenthetical. Now, you say, Fred. Where does that Dan Hoff come from? Where is that? Who is this Dan Hoff character? Well, you know who it is. That's the last name of the author of these quoted words. Okay? And that's it. in there, and this right here, this 5, that's the page number, and that's it. Fred, oh my God, Fred, what if I don't have a page number? Then there wouldn't be a page number there. It would just say Danhoff. What if the title of the thing, what if there's no author and the title of the thing is like selling stuff in farmers? Then it would say selling stuff in farmers in the thing. Let's go see something really quick. Can you scroll with me? Let's go scroll. I don't know if we're going to get lucky. Do you think we're going to get lucky? Oh! Yeah, here it is. Look, there it is. There is our good friend, Mr. Danhoff. Now, you see this citation right here? Do you see how it's the thing that's the very beginning of the citation? That's what goes in the parentheses. Whatever is very first. Now you say, Fred, what about this bad boy right here? Where it says historical census browser, you notice there's no author, right? Do you want to go find that citation in the text and see what it looks like? Let's go find it. Do you think we can? It's worth looking. We're not using endnotes or footnotes, so don't worry about that. We're looking for it. It's in the works cited page, which means it's got to be there somewhere, unless they put it in like a footnote or something, or an endnote. What do you think? I don't know. I'm just looking for stuff. What did that say? What are we looking for again? Historical census browser? Was it here? Hold on. Let's look at our endnotes really quick. No. I'm going back up. I'm looking. There's Danhoff coming at us. There's Hurt. I don't know. I don't see it. That's why I don't know why it should be there. Because technically, my friends, if it is not in the paper, I don't know. I'm looking. I don't see it yet. I see Hurt. Oh, it's admitted. Anyway, fine. Whatever. That was a waste of your time and mine. But if you saw this right here, that's what would be in the thing. Now wait, remember this? We saw this. Okay, so look, here's one, Moral Land Grant Act of 1862. So you didn't see that in parentheses. Let me show you why really quick. I'm sorry that I'm wasting your time. And if you feel like I'm wasting your time, I apologize. Skip this section. Hang out with your friends. Look. Right here. That's the thing, right? That's the thing. It's a land grant act. It's a government act. Probably doesn't have page numbers. Okay? So look what happens. In the sentence right here, the government became more, the author names it, right? And then which begins with this phrase and then quotes from it right here. Now you'll notice there's no citation. Do you know why there's no citation? Number one, there's no author because it's a government act. Number two, there's no page number. So there is, and they've said the name of it. right here, which means they don't have that there's nothing to cite. So it's there. If you name it and there's no page number and you name it in the sentence where you quote it, you don't have to cite it. And there's lots of things like that because it is named there, and we can go here and we can see it right here. You'll see this in another place too, where they will name the author in the sentence. And then because they named the author in the sentence, they'll just have a page number. Right here. Right here. Oh, my cursor got in the weird place. See this 92 right here? See it? Okay. That's because right here, they name the author, and right here, they name the book. And because the author is named here, they can just put the page number here, and they don't need to have Nicholson 92 because they've named Nicholson in the sentence. This sentence right here begins John Nicholson. You see the colon right here? That means that the sentence starts with John and ends at the end of the quote, and then they have the page number here. Okay? Now, this is a lot. Okay, I'm going to stop for a second. This is a lot. This is a lot of information. But here's what you should take away from this before I end this video. The key to citation is to identify where the information that you got from somewhere else is coming from. Okay? So that has two components. One is the works cited page. This is where you list all of the texts that you got information from that you included in the work, in the paper. These are works that you cited in your paper. That's the works cited page. Now, in text, sorry, I have an eye itch. In the text, you use those parenthetical citations in order to link specific bits from those works back to the whole work. So this is a quote from Nicholson's text. Here's the title of Nicholson's text. Here's all the information that you need so that you can find your way back to it. The reader, that's the you here. The reader can go back. So as long as you're identifying the author, the work, the page number, as long as you're identifying him or her in the sentence, either parenthetically or naming them in the sentence, the reader can get back to the correct work on the works cited page. Okay? This is a lot. This is a lot. But sometimes it's not helpful to, because like if I say Fred Sigmund in his 14th century poem, "Why is that chicken staring at me?" notes that the chicken that clucks is straight out of luck. I'm going to run that chicken over with my truck full of ducks. Okay? If I say that, then what we need to find is, then we can just put in the little bottom, page 16. 16 in little parentheses, because it's on page 16 of my book of poetry. Then you go back to the book, it says Sigmund, comma, Fred, and some, whatever the title I said about ducks, whatever, okay? And they can get back to it. They can link the quote or the paraphrase or the summary in your text with the work that it came from that's located in the full citation on the works cited page. That's the purpose of all this. So, name it so we can find it. And you don't have to do it the same way every time. It is convenient to sometimes when you first mention it to say in John Nicholson's book, he notes that, quote, da 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 da, parentheses, 92. But later we might, again, Nicholson notes that, and you might not have to refer to it or say, whatever. There's lots of different ways to do it. But you've got to identify very clearly by name and by page number, if there is such a thing, but at least by name, where the information that is not yours comes from. So for this paper, at the bare minimum, you have one text that is not yours, and you need to identify it. So like I said earlier, beginning this too long video now, identify it by name. say something about it, pull a quote from it that sums up maybe why you picked it or whatever, drop that page number in, then you can just do your little, and just do your citation, okay? Now, this is a lot. So really quickly, let me do something just very fast. I'm going to try to be as quick as I can because this has been too long for you. Okay. I'm going to share the screen again. I'm going to go back to me. I've talked too long. I get a little, I don't know, I'm weird. Whatever, it's a thing. So if you go back here, this is the Purdue OWL guide, right, that we've talked about. Over here on the left-hand column, if I get rid of this video, you can see right here, MLA sample paper. If you click on that, it takes you to that paper, okay? And when you can see that paper, you can get all sorts of tips on what MLA is supposed to look like. And if you want to know the truth, if I can be honest with you for just 5 seconds before I end this video and stop this madness, everything that I learned about MLA when I was a little baby, like English major learning MLA, I learned from a sample paper. That's how I learned. In the old days when we used to have to use the MLA guide, they would usually put sample papers in there, and that's how I learned. Because just seeing what it looked like, looking at it, and then mimicking the varying ways to make it work. But just remember, identify by name the works that you're using. And for you, for the text, please identify it early, by name, by author, by date, so that we know, the reader, we know that this is the central text of your essay. So this was too long. I think my glasses were off for a while. There may have been some like impromptu poem that was really whatever. It is what it is. Anyway, I love you. Please ask me questions. Please ask Miss White questions. Please ask your friends questions, and let's make a good paper together. Anyway, love you. Have an excellent evening, and rock on.